Hey everyone, Speak Spanish here, bringing you another video. This time I'm going to bring you an Affliction 5.0.1 rotation video. So, now I have kind of searched YouTube for one, and I haven't really found one that's really up to date for level 90s. Not a lot has changed since level 85. I mean, a couple things you gotta keep an eye out for, which is the level 90 talent that you can get. There's a quite different amount of them you can get that could all be decent besides Manoroth's Fury, only because of the simple fact you're not really doing much AoE as Affliction in raids besides just trash pulls. But to be really honest, I find that Destro has the better AoE than Affliction. Kill Jading's Cunning, it's nice, but 5.1 they're gonna change it that it no longer reduces cast time. So I can see maybe in 5.1 being the best, but as for right now, Archmon's Vengeance I think is definitely the best for right now. Especially if you pop the cooldown, which is you at all time the passive is 5% of all damage you deal, or they deal to you. So all the damage that you take from enemies is dealt back to them all the time. But if you pop the 2-minute cooldown, causes the enemy to suffer 25% of all damage you take. So let's say on a boss fight you're, let's say Fang in vaults, when he's doing the draw flame, then he starts bursting. I don't remember what the hell the spell is called, but he starts bursting. If you pop that, you could actually, I've seen it hit for 5k to the boss. It's not a lot, but it's nice to have for that extra damage, because that fight you're not really moving that much, only if you have the spark on you, which then again, I mean, this kill Jennings coming can also, you know, be bad or good in that situation, but I would rather choose Archmon's Vengeance just for the extra damage. So as for Glyphs, I chose, let's see, what did I choose? Oh, this is not right. I usually choose health zones. This is like, I just did this for questing, or grinding, my bad. I usually do health zones. You receive 100% more healing from using health zones, but the health is restored over 10 seconds. To be really honest, if you pop Dark Bargain, and then let's say you pop Dark Bargain and then some other cooldowns like Healthstone, you regenerate that health over time, but you receive so much more healing from it. You're not gonna worry about dying. Your corruption will heal you for 20% of the damage dealt. Also, that's nice on the Will of the Emperor, because that way you take some load off the healers, because you should be dotting all the ads at the same time when they come out. At the Will of the Emperor, you're gonna have to dot the 2 bosses. Keep the dots on the bosses at all times. That's what you got to make sure you do. Unless there is I think a corruptor out or something like that. I don't remember what the guy is called, or a courage, my bad. And then the strength, and then the 2 rages. You want to make sure, excuse me. You want to make sure you have the courage down before he reaches the tank, obviously, and also make sure you have full dots on the 2 bosses, the strength and the rages. You can drain soul them, as you can see here. You can drain soul the rages, and then they'll give you full shards back. Shards, sorry, excuse me. And you can do a soul burn, soul swap on all the mobs. So that right there, you can refresh all your dots when you kill a rage. That's enough of that shit. This is oh, I need to clear a tone, but whatever. I usually do. It just really depends on the, as I was saying, it really depends on the boss fight. But I usually do soul leech, because it gives you 20% of the damage dealt healed back to you with grass, drain soul, haunt spells. Dark regeneration is on a 2-minute cooldown. It restores 30% of your pet and your health, and receives 25% healing over 12 seconds. That's all right. I don't really find that to be really necessary in raids, because healers are always popping heals on you before you die. So I feel like the soul leech would be a lot better, just because of the fact that you're constantly healing yourself, and you're not wasting a global cooldown to pop a heal on yourself when a healer or a resto druid is already hotted you. So molten coil, mortal coil, sorry, I found to be a lot better than Shadow Fury, obviously, and Hall of Terror, because of the fact that if you, let's say you're running from let's say AoE or something in a boss fight, and you don't have time to DPS, but you need a heal. So Papa, I've seen this heal me for over 80,000. It's pretty crazy, but I would definitely use this in a boss fight, because if you're running like this and you're like, oh my god, I'm about to die, just, you know, oh, right there, woof. So yeah, that was 64,000 right there. But let's see, Dark Bargain, I already went over that. Blood Fear, I only use this really on the Will of the Emperor for the rages, because we usually CC one while we rape one of them. Burning Rush, I guess it's alright. It's not really that good in boss fights and Unbound Will. I guess some boss fights it could be useful, but I wouldn't really recommend it. It's just a waste of global cooldown. I want Sacrifice just because the fact that you get 50%. Let's see here. I think you get as you sacrifice a pet, especially a Void Lord or a Void Walker, you get this buff called Shadow Bulwark, and it temporarily grants the Void Walker 30% of their maximum health for 20 seconds. But if you use this ability on yourself, you get the buff too, as maximum health increased by 30%. Now look at my health now. I have 500,012 health exactly. So let's say if I pop that and then I pop a health stone or a coil, see, that just healed me for 84,000 because I have the extra health. So it would help, and I mean, once it disappears, you're gonna get that health back anyway. So enough of that. Let's do a little bit of DPS here. Now I'm gonna show you a little bit of single target DPS, and maybe I'll show you a little bit of multi-target. I haven't played Affliction for a while. I've been PvPing a lot. I've kind of taken a break on raids. But I usually start out, before we pull the boss, I usually start with a Potion of Jade Serpent, which increases your intellect by 4,000 for 25 seconds. I usually pre-pop before the boss is pulled, because you can only do one pop per combat. So you can only use one pot during a raid fight pretty much. So if you pre-pot, you have the extra damage and the extra DPS at the beginning of the fight, and then you can pop in mid-fight as well. So like always, you want to start out with Curse of Elements, which increases the magical damage taken by 5% to the target. And some people usually start with Haunt. Some people usually start with Soul Swap, Soul Burn. It doesn't really matter. I found to be both to be just as good. So, but if you want to get those dots on right away, Haunt, and then Grasp. And I usually Grasp again, and then by the time the second Grasp is done, you want to cast Haunt again, Grasp, Unstable Affliction, Grasp, Haunt, Grasp, Corruption, Grasp, Grasp, Haunt. Yeah, I'll let that wear off. Oh well. Unstable Affliction, Haunt, Grasp, Corruption, Grasp. See, now I don't have a Soul Shard up, which kind of sucks because I don't really, as you saw there, I was doing 56,000 DPS, so it's not really that good. I guess it's I'll say it's pretty good. But in raids I usually pull around 70,000 to 80, depending on fights. But that's just the basic rotation. Never let your dots wear off like I did with Agony, because that's a big DPS loss. Especially since you have to wait for Agony to restack its ticks. Because as you see here, you see the timer, and then you see ×4, and then ×5, and then it goes up to ×6, or ×10, sorry. And if you let that wear off, it has to re-damage, or it has to apply those stacks. and then that means like each stack does different damage. So stack 10 obviously has the maximum damage it can do. So you never want to let that wear off. So let's see. Let's do another one here. Let's do a multi-target one. So we'll let that wear off here in a second.
All right, we're back. All right, so
usually for AoE fights, I like to start off with a soul burn, and then a curse of elements, because that puts it on all the targets within 15 yards of that target. So we're gonna do a quick soul swap, and then boom, and then soul burn, soul swap, then grasp. And you want to make sure your dots are always on the target at all times. When you get procs, you want to use them right away. And as you see here, I'm doing 70,000 DPS, so like just doing that. So it's a little bit harder to keep your dots applied to 3 targets at once. Even 4 targets can be a fucking pain in my ass. So you get the gist of it. For Flask, you want to use the Flask of the Warm Sun, which increases your intellect by 1,000 for 1 hour. Counts as both Battle Elixir and Guardian Elixir. This effect persists through death. So that's an extra DPS buff right there. I right now have 19,000, pretty much rounded up from 18,900. My spell hit is 14. Oh, I'm just a little bit below spell hit, but that's no problem. My crit is 10%. Which isn't a big factor as Affliction, but Mastery definitely is. Mastery increases your damage dealt by your Unstable Affliction, Agony, and Corruption spells. Right now I have 45%, so as you can see, I was hitting for pretty much a truck. So as Unstable Affliction, Corruption, and Agony, let's see what they all hit for. Just 7,000, 7,000. Yeah, and then that's just by themselves. So let's say you have all your dots on them, right? You haunt, which increases the periodic damage by 25%, plus grasp increases it by another 75% of their normal periodic damage. So look at that. Look how fast I'm hitting them and ticking it. So yeah. Let's see what else I gotta show you guys here. For stat priority, intellect is always your best stat. As for reforging, always reforge for mastery. But if you have under hit rating, you want to reforge everything to 15% hit rating. If you're a couple under, like 0.2 under, that's not a big deal. I mean, you might miss a spell, but I don't think it's going to matter that much. I mean, I think I've been at 1497 the whole time I've been rating. So, and that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions or if you have any different rotations you guys use, don't be afraid to say it in the comments. Make sure you guys subscribe and have a nice day.